I had the desire to make a film that I could make on a very specific place, a limited space. I think by this limitation we give ourselves some room to explore the freedom to work with nature. It started with a landscape that was very present in my youth. I grew up in a small village surrounded by vast reed beds, and there was reed harvesting there, but it all died out, the harvesting itself, in the early 2000s. But with it also the landscape, because if the reeds are not harvested at the right time of the year, the landscape changes, or trees will take over. These colors and textures and images that were deeply ingrained into my memory of this place weren't existing anymore. I tried to find this type of rural area, and I found it in the northern parts of the Netherlands. From there, some things grew, and a story started. Yeah. While I was visiting this region a lot, where we shot the film, I also got to know better the work of Armando. He's a famous Dutch artist, he's a painter, he's a poet, he makes music, and he has this poetic notion of a guilty landscape to describe the indifference of nature for human suffering. And this observation gave me a different perspective or a different lens to look at this landscape that I already knew my whole life. Yeah, these thoughts about guilt and evil and violence seeped into the landscape. For example, you have this scene where the camera moves almost like an entity in the reeds towards the trees and goes back. It's a scene where we worked a lot on to get to know this place where we wanted to film, to have the right conditions. We tried to shoot it for like 4 times, but the weather was not good. And we wanted to shoot it in shadow so we could make it day for night. I wanted to have it at night, but then just when we wanted to leave, the sun came through, and it looked magical. And I looked at my DOP and we said, okay, let's just do another take. Maybe this is going to bring us some. And then it works way better. It's more delirious in kind of a way. It has more of a dream logic instead of a narrative logic. So that's an example. But also some things that you see from the people who you work with in front of the camera. You know, the granddaughter who plays Dana, Lois, you get to know her better, her qualities as a person, as a human being, and try to rewrite scenes, you know. But sometimes with my assistant director at night, I'm thinking, okay, this scene is not going to work with her character. How can we change things like that? Like when she's lying on the bed, playing like she's dead to get her grandmother picked up. I think we wrote it like 2 days before we shot the scene, yeah. But most of the time, everything is very scripted. I'm searching constantly for the right rhythm and the right tones. Like when I'm working with the sound designer, but also with the DOP when we're trying to imagine the film. You know, I try to explain him the images, and it's not a theoretical or a logical conversation. It's a lot about rhythm. Of course, he sometimes asks more intellectual questions that I sometimes answer and sometimes don't, but most of the time it's very about the rhythm of the composition, about the time. When we think about the shot, him walking, we sometimes go walk together. How long does this shot needs to be, you know? I think this rhythm of the medium of the film itself drives the film, but also just the rhythm of the rituals that we observe, you know? Yeah, that happened in front of us. They are already repeated for generations, so they have kind of their own inner logic. They have a power within themselves, I think. You don't have to explain them, and they drive the movie if you take time to watch them, yeah. I don't think I work from a method, but the method is to try to be as instinctive or intuitive as possible. And I think it's very important to think of the rhythm already while you're imagining the film. But then, of course, you have to find it again while shooting, you know? You try to capture that. And then in the edit, in one end you have to find the rhythm that you imagine, but at the other end you have to destroy it because you have to be open for what the material brings to you, you know. So this is all, I think, in all different stages. I always try to move towards the person I will find, you know, instead of pulling him to my character. But all my characters, I think in my film I don't write like backstories, or I think they're like a blank canvas in the script that you can project things on, or you can fill this blankness with a person. Your imagination has to collide with what you find in front of the camera or next to the camera, you know, you outside of the frame that you imagined, yeah. One thing that with every film I learn a little bit more is how to reform this way of filmmaking that the shooting industry says how you wanted to make a film, that you break it down and reform it to the way you want to make a film, instead of changing your mentality of how you want to make it to the rules of how you should make it, you know? So this is step by step, and I think this was a film that we took a big step in designing our own method and trying to get people on board that trust this way of working. And I would like to go a little bit further in maybe the next film, you know, with that.